there's nothing wrong with you. You're not an idiot or a loser, all the other hundreds of words we say to ourselves. You're just in protection, because there's only two things we do. We protect, we grow, we contract, we expand, we give and take. We're vibrational beings. People withdraw to protect themselves. But then there's the over-engagement where people then will scream, yell, whatever, throw things to protect themselves. So people will demean others subconsciously to push them away. And others will just sit there and take it and not say a word, because that's how they protect themselves. Your depression, your sadness, your imposter syndrome, it's everything that you see and feel last. So what we do is we focus on this and this and this and this, not the real one that has caused it. So the inborn sabotaging trait, when you push it, goes down the road of desperation and frustration. But when you push the antidote, which is the exact opposite, that's when you go into inspiration and motivation instantaneously.
Good day, everyone. I want to welcome you back to Jill Collins Connections. We have another amazing, amazing individual that I absolutely love to pieces. Dr. Phil Agrios is with us today. And Dr. Phil is someone that I actually met on Clubhouse. For those of you who don't know about this, the audio platform that was really big during the pandemic, we got to know each other really well through different rooms and through conversations we've had. And so I want to share Dr. Phil's amazing expertise with self-sabotage, amongst other things. He's great at health and wellness, and he's just a wealth of knowledge in so many areas, but he's really known as a business breakthrough specialist. He works with businesses and individuals, but he has been on international stages. He's a best-selling author. He's guided business people worldwide, and to really what his core focus is helping them move from self-sabotage to self-made success. And he helps people uncover inborn traits that we might have that might be stopping us from being successful. So I want to pass this over to Dr. Phil, but really where he got this whole thing and what happened to him is he had some tragic events that affected his personal and professional life. And it really sparked him to be on a quest to understand human behavior at its core, like what is making him be this way. And so now he's sharing it with others, which is why I want to share this with you today. So he's worked with thousands of people for over 30 years, and he's really created an revolutionary way to avoid self-sabotage and how to transcend and make your life the best that it possibly can be. So welcome, Dr. Phil, to the show, and I'm so excited you're here.
Hi, Jill. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really excited to get down and into the self-sabotage. A lot of people have questions about or know they're doing, but have tried so many different ways and get so frustrated because they find themselves in that hamster wheel over and over again.
Yeah, I know. And that's been such a buzzword over the past few years. And I got to tell you, I think probably I hadn't even heard of that word until a few years ago. And I had to really dive in. Tell us what self-sabotage is for. We know what the word sabotage, we've heard the word sabotage, but what is it when it's self-sabotage? What does that mean?
Well, if you really go down to the original word of sabotage, it's from a French word, saboteur. And it was in the 1890s when the factory workers went on strike, and they sabotaged the factory owners to get their attention. But sabotage is not to undermine, but it was because of the peasants wearing wooden shoes, causing them to stumble and causing them to be cautious and everything else, to shake things up. So they use sabotage in that way of shaking things up and showing you that there is something going on that is not working well. So I used the word sabotage in my when I discovered this particular trait called the inborn sabotaging trait, that actually doesn't undermine us, but it actually protects us from the very success that we seek, because that success subconsciously is more painful, so we never get to that point. And when I first found this, I was like, this is no way, this is too simple. So I went out to try to disprove it. And over 30 years, researching thousands upon thousands of people, not only did we prove it, we found a way to actually switch it off instantly, and it works 100% of the time. Now, I'm from New Jersey. Okay, you tell me this works 100% of the time, I'm going to call out BS. Okay.
Yeah.
So I knew that. So I went out to try to disprove that. And to this day, whether you're a billionaire or a child, this is there all the time. And throughout those years of trying to figure out what this is, we were able to discover that there are actually only 3 basic traits who make up who we are. And we call them the director, the supplier, and the communicator. So for your audience, you want to write that down: director, supplier, and communicator, because that's all we do as humans. We direct, we communicate, and we supply. That is it. And then when we take those 3 traits and we place them in a particular sequence, we call it the personality stress sequence. And that sequence has 3 positions. The top one is your dominant trait. We call it your superpower. That's your go-to trait that you feel very comfortable using. Then there's a mediator trait, which is the bridge between the dominant trait and the inborn sabotaging trait. Once we place those 3 traits there by asking questions and understanding where you're at, that's your sequence that you were born with. Yes, born with. This is unlike the personality, the DISC and all the other tests where you need to take them like twice a year because things change. This never changes. So once we know the sequence, we can tell you everything about you and never meet you. I can ask if you had a significant other, ask a couple of questions, tell you everything about that person, and then I'll tell you how you two interact and never ask you a question, because we have gotten it down to that much of a science, because there's only 6 sequences of human behavior. So there's really only 6 people in the world.
Okay. So I'm going to, because I got so far as, and I'm helping the viewers, our audience to catch this. So we definitely got the 3 basic traits. The director, someone who likes to direct. I do that. But then I also am like the supplier is someone who supplies information, and the communicator. I'm a director to an extent, because I like to tell people what to do, but I don't necessarily want to go do it for them all the time.
Right, but we have all 3 within us.
Because I'm kind of going, that's all 3. I'm all 3.
Right.
Yeah.
We all have all 3. It depends on what situation depending on what position you put them in, that one you use mostly more, and then the other one you don't use as enough. And depending on the sequence. So what happens is when you start to release your personal professional power and you start to feel uncomfortable, your sabotage trait kicks in to protect you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not an idiot or a loser, all the other hundreds of words we say to ourselves. You're just in protection, because there's only 2 things we do. We protect, we grow, we contract, we expand, we give and take. We're vibrational beings. So when you start to contract, imagine knowing why. That's the inborn sabotaging trait. Once you understand why, you immediately use the solution we call the antidote, which immediately brings you into growth. So instead of doing this, like we usually do, you kind of hit the uncomfortable line, then you drop, and then you come up. And now you're doing this because you know how to switch off your inborn sabotaging trait, because it's there to evolve you.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you, and we'll drop this in, and probably during the interview, when this is actually played back, we're going to add some slides here. So I think people have to, for me, I'm a very visual person. I have a feeling people are going to want to see the visual. If we can share that, we'll get that later. And then when people are watching this, they're going to see that. But okay, so we got the 3 basic traits. Now the personality stress sequences, you said there are 5?
6.
6. Okay. And then, so this is one of these are going to be the way that we sabotage.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
It's
So
a way how you deal with every situation. Once you understand the sequence, you will understand why and things happened in the past, why things didn't work out, but you'll also understand why things did work out. Okay. Once you understand that and you know how to work that sequence and how to use the antidote to switch it off instantly, because what we found is that the sabotaging trait and the antidote are the exact opposite. That's why it works 100% of the time. It's impossible to sabotage yourself when you use this antidote, which is just a 1-sentence phrase for that particular person.
Okay. So we've got the superpower, the second one. What were the 6 again?
No. So we have this, we have the 3 positions. Yep. We have the dominant trait, which is your superpower, the mediator trait, which is the bridge, and then you have the inborn sabotaging trait. So there's really only 3 inborn sabotaging traits in the world, okay? But there are actually 6 sequences. So
Okay.
out of 70 billion people, that's it. And how we know this, because we still work with people from over 30, whether my family or friends or old patients or clients, when they'll go, you know, I'm going through this, and I'll go, it's your sequence. And they're like, yeah, it is, isn't it? Yes, it's always that way. So imagine knowing your child's or your spouse's or a potential client or whatever, you'll know exactly why they do what they do.
Okay.
We had a manager one time. I do workshops as well for corporations and companies. He came up to me, was really intrigued. He says, you know, my son's always upstairs playing video games. We can't get him downstairs to interact with the family. So I asked him a few questions. We ascertained his sequence. And because he understood this work, I told him exactly what to do. Within a week, his son was downstairs interacting with the family, and within 2 months, their relationship skyrocketed because he realized he was the one pushing his son back in the room based on his sequence, because he used to make fun of the kid because that's how he grew up. But once he understood how he reacted and what to do, he backed off, and then the relationship grew. And then he realized in his business, he was doing the same thing because your saboteur and your antidote within you, and your business and your personal life are one. And then he started making the same changes, and his business started to grow. So you have to realize that you do the same thing, maybe in different degrees. It looks differently, but it's the exact same thing.
Okay. Okay. Got it. And that is so fascinating, because I think people are going to really want to figure this out, because, and then contact you and get more information, which we're going to drop links. I know you have a great, some great, free advice, as well as your book, and then also the program.
We have a masterclass that they can watch.
Masterclass.
The
I think that's
45-minute masterclass. It dives deeply into 5 shifts and how to offset this to escape self-sabotage, self-worthlessness, distractions, and procrastination.
That's incredible. I thank you for that. And we're going to have those links below. And so for the meantime, though, for this conversation, tell us what the 6 sequences are.
I can't tell you that because you wouldn't understand them, because you need to dive deeply into each of the traits.
Okay.
I'm not trying, because
No,
if
it's okay.
I can just start throwing them out, and people are going to be all confused.
Okay, so they're not.
So let me give you one sequence. Let me give you one sequence. Okay. So the people can kind of understand it. So, you know, you do sales, right? You have to sell people, you know, right? You have to get new clients, right? You're a business owner, right? So have you ever heard somebody there where they overly talk, where they actually talk themselves out of a sale? You ever hear people like that at all? They keep on talking and talking, and the person's like, no, they had them, but they let them go. Some people
I have a better example for this, because I think
Okay.
our audience is, there's sales people that are focused on sales, but here's what I'd like to do. How about
Sure.
let's do one on relationships?
Sure. Okay.
Personal level
So
relationships. Someone's dating, or they're meeting someone new.
Okay, perfect. So let's talk about the person with the one of the sequences that overly supplies, they overly share.
Yeah.
So they're sitting down on the first date, and they just start telling everything about this, about themselves. And they tell this and this. Have you ever had that experience at all? I mean, they're just telling them from back end. And the first person, whether it's a man or a woman or whomever, is just sitting there and going, oh my God, you're giving me everything that I really just wanted to sit and just have a good time with, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is their dominant trait is they communicate too much. I call them vomiting. They just keep on opening up because they share too much, because they really want to show the person. They're very sensitive. They focus on everybody's feelings, and they want them to feel liked, because they actually devalue themselves. So actually, by doing that, by overly sharing, they actually devalue themselves, which is the exact opposite of what they want to do. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
Does that make sense?
Oh, that does make sense.
Okay.
I mean,
But they do that in business. They do that
that.
in every aspect of their life and their professional life, whether in a career or they're a business owner.
So I love this, because I've had several people on that I've interviewed already, and we've talked in conversations, and we always say is how you do one thing in life is how you do everything in life. But you are really honing in on what that one thing is.
Yes,
because
one
I think
thing.
some of us, because
That
we're
is it.
always like thinking, well, you know, I'm kind of lazy. I guess I do that in everything in my life. Well, maybe that's it. But what is it specifically that's making you be lazy? Or is
And
it
lazy is a
off?
secondary emotion. It's like the cover over what the real true problem is. So
Okay.
for instance, you ever see the domino masters? They push the one domino, goes right. The last one hits, and let's say balloons are released, right?
Mhm.
Well, the balloons is the last thing you do see, right? It's the last thing you see. So that's your procrastination. That's your anxiety, your depression, your sadness, your imposter syndrome. It's everything that you see what and feel last. So we take our coping methods and do what? We put them on the balloons instead of the one domino. So what's easier? Hold down the balloons and stop pushing the domino. That domino is your inborn sabotaging trait that creates every negative emotion that you experience, every one of them. So what we do is we focus on this and this and this and this, not the real one that has caused it. So the inborn sabotaging trait, when you push it, goes down the road of desperation and frustration. But when you push the antidote, which is the exact opposite, that's when you go into inspiration and motivation instantaneously.
Wow. So someone who procrastinates, that could be another one, right? It's not laziness. That's a secondary.
That's a secondary thing. It is coming always down to their one inborn sabotage, their sequence, and that's why they procrastinate.
So what could be a primary, what is their inborn, someone who's a procrastinator?
So one who's a procrastinator is that when they have little to no knowledge, they freeze. They don't know what to do. So they'll do something much more easy or more fun than to try to go out and find that knowledge. They may be bored, right? Or there's too much detail they can't stand, so they'll do something else. They may not trust themselves, or they don't have enough faith in themselves, so they'll do something else because of that block there.
Fascinating. So someone, because I think we spend our lives probably beating ourselves up for that one thing that is the saboteur in our lives, when really, if we find out that secret and unlock that, we really are casting a light on it, and then we're able to do something about it. And once we see it, we know what it is, and I go, oh, there you are. Huh.
It's that simple. For 30 years, I kept on going, it can't be this simple. But then if you know bread, which is a complex, has all this glucose and all this together, but if you go down to the basic of what this starts out with, it's very simple. So this is the actual reason how we react and act to situations. Again, you're just in protection. When you don't want to do that and you procrastinate, you're in protection. When you're sad, you're in protection. When you go and, now overly talk and you over engage. So let's say there's actually only two ways to protect. Okay. So the first one is to withdraw, right? People withdraw to protect themselves. But then there's the over-engagement where people then will scream, yell, whatever, throw things to protect themselves. So people will demean others subconsciously to push them away. And others will just sit there and take it and not say a word, because that's how they protect themselves. And they go in and then they demean themselves and break that down within themselves.
Okay, yeah.
So so that's it. There's only two ways to protect. And that's your saboteur that brings you to the other extremes. But as soon as you use the antidote, you immediately go into balance.
Wow. And so what would the anecdote be in that? Okay. So, cause I'm thinking of my parents, my dad was probably more the one who was like this is how we're doing it. My mom would be like okay, it's all good. I'll do whatever.
Appease them, whatever the case may be.
And so
right.
I'm watching both of these dynamics, and I think I've got a split of both. So like sometimes I'll just do okay, it's cool. And then at some point when I'm just like, if I'm not owning my power or knowing what it is that I truly want, honoring it, which I'm learning this right now in the past couple of years, is don't do something that it's not aligning with me or isn't right for me. And don't just agree to do something or be in some space or whatever, is to say no, but not wait till it gets to a point where I fester and then I snap and blow up at something, or I just.
Right, because the pressure cooker finally exploded.
Yeah.
But with you, that's probably your mediator. So you overly give, you have a hard time saying no and things like that to other people, because you're focusing on others' feelings. You focus on others first and then you.
Absolutely.
Okay, because you think it's selfish.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's self-nourishment.
Well, I'm learning that. And this is something where I'm really loving myself right now and really happy in my life because I'm changing that way of being.
Right.
But I'm still playing with it like a toddler because there are times when I say no to something and someone gets upset about it, or they pull back or they withdraw. I have an example now in my life this week that happened. And I'm like, oh, the person's not with me anymore, or they don't want to be in my space. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is scary. But Jill, you made a choice and you know it was you were honoring your choice. So trust yourself. This is the right thing to do. Hang on, it's okay. And be willing to stay with that no. And in the past, I can't tell you how many jobs I've accepted. And then I'd go back to my old job and say, I just accepted a new job. And they say, oh, no, don't do that. And then I would go back and turn the job down after I accepted it. I've done that so many times. I'm also in relationships, and there are people, anybody watching exes that know this and go, oh yeah, she is the getting back with somebody after I broke up. I've done that.
That's your superpower, tripping you up.
Okay.
See, that's your go-to girl. That's that's what you feel comfortable, and you have no clue how it's tripping you up. See, again, all the information that you're giving is fantastic, okay? But it's general. It's not specific to you. Okay. See, I took the greats. I took Robbins and Rowe and Zig, and I had all their cassette tape programs. Remember cassette tape programs? That's how far back I'm going back.
I'm old enough for that. Yeah,
right.
In the car.
I've gone to seminars and all this stuff. But what I found was frustrating was I was constantly going back and self-sabotaging. And I'm like, why am I doing? What's wrong with me? And what was happening is I was taking all this general information. And what I know now is subconsciously I was using it to help with my dominant and my meteor trait because it was subconsciously easier. And then just like a blind squirrel would find a nut once in a while, that information would hit my antidote, which I didn't know what that was. And then I would become successful, but I had no idea why I became successful. Therefore, I could not sustain it. And then I dropped it. So as soon as now I know my antidote, my clients know their antidote. So now they know how to repeat it. You never get rid of this saboteur. You never, ever get rid of it because it's protection. You can't get rid of protection. First of all, you wouldn't want to, right? But you can't get rid of it. So learn how to switch it off instantly and go down the road of balance and harmony instead of trying to figure it out by going back and forth on the extremes. But you'll stay on people have one protection that they like more. Some people will withdraw easier and others will then overengage. But there's people that constantly overengage can ignore you and pull back to as well, but they're not as comfortable there. So they'll go back to that point. So it's that seesaw effect. So instead of doing this, we teach people to do this. It's never a straight line. And for those of your audience people think that life should always be great, you don't know why you're here. We're here for the contrast. We're here for the adversity because that's how we evolve. The saboteur brings in those adversities in order for us to evolve, to break that barrier in order for us to help us to expand and evolve as human beings.
Wow. Okay. So this is fascinating. So we're not always here to be happy every minute of every day. And it's the lessons, and the saboteur is here to help us evolve and to grow.
Yeah.
And so I think once we understand that, like you said, is that we're able to be in more control of our lives and how things go, and probably better members of society and in our relationships in business and everywhere. Because
the people outside. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
We can regulate ourselves. Is all I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. If you look on the outside world and you don't like it, it's the inside world just being projected. The person you can't stand is a part of you that you can't stand. They just showed up to show you're not dealing with that. So as you start shifting your saboteur and you start using your antidote, we see shifts immediately in relationships and things like that. I used to be a chiropractor and a functional medicine practitioner. My specialty was thyroid and autoimmune disease. And I had really high success rates. The reason is because we would teach them, we give them, take their blood and, change their nutrition, all that stuff. But what we found is that I would have someone come up to me, come into my office and go, "You're going to kill me." I'm like, "What'd you do?" He goes, "I had a pizza." I said, "I don't care you had a pizza. How do you feel?" "Oh, I've been paying for 4 days." I said, "I'm glad you had the pizza because I want you to reinforce that. But I'm really curious that you had something happen. And because you know you're going to have 4 days of pain, you still ate the pizza because what you was triggered was more painful to deal with." So what we discovered is that when they have a trigger, they will go into their saboteur and then they will go into their numbing agents, whether it was eating or drinking or whatever the case may be that caused an inflammatory reaction. But when they learned their antidote and really wanted to focus on the trigger, because now they have their secret weapon, now what they did was when the trigger happened, they'd use their antidote and two things would happen. They would lessen their numbing agents or they wouldn't do it at all. So now their inflammatory flare-ups would drop. We had a woman and a man who, a couple, she had lupus and she was doing really well. And so she went home and she would bicker with her husband. So I had come on in. So I taught him his inborn sabotaging trait and antidote. So now he understood hers, she understood his. And when they went into a bickering fight, they knew they were just protecting themselves from each other. They didn't hate each other. They just hated what the person was doing, right? But they were just in protection. And as soon as they did that, each one would then use their antidote, and then the conflict would be over within a few minutes. And then what happens was her flare-ups dropped because now when she went home, if there was any little bickering, she would handle it immediately. And it would then, she would handle it and deal with it. See, I don't care if you go into your corner with a pillow, suck your thumb on and put yourself in a fetal position on the floor. I'm good with that because that's just protection. The question is, how long are you there for? So if you're in your saboteur and using your saboteur, I'm good with that. You're just in protection. Question is, how long are you going to be there until you use the antidote to switch it off instantly?
I love that. And knowing the anecdote. And is it hard for, I'm thinking like when we did like in Tony Robbins, we had the primary question exercise, which is where there's a question that you repeatedly ask yourself all day long and you've been doing it for years and you don't even realize it till someone says, "What is your primary question?" Mine was, "Am I doing it right?" I thought, and then but then because am I doing it right? I've been to that conference 4 times at least. And every time we work on that exercise, I doubt whether that's my primary question. And I keep changing it. So I'm like, well, maybe is it worth it? It's like, is it worth it with my other one? And then it's like, is this worth it? Because every time I'm doing something, like, I don't know, is this worth it? Should I be doing that? So, I mean, I am still like, and I'm a Tony Robbins, like, I've done everything multiple times and I still can't figure out, and I've worked with people who are really good at it. But the point is it like that where do you ever have such clarity on your saboteur and you know what it is, or are people still floundering and wondering what it is?
No, they know within the first week or less. We've had people change within an hour and a half. We've seen shifts between parents and child. We've seen relationships, saved marriages, to people finally breaking through and increasing their businesses 20, 30, 40, even 100 times more income. Because with your question, it's basically your dominant and immediate trait you're looking at. Again, it's general, it's non-specific. Your question is another question that goes down to your saboteur, and you're not answering that question. That's why it continues to repeat, because you're not hitting the one thing. And I guarantee people, they will have that and they will see the shift. And that's the guarantee we give them.
Okay. So what's my one thing? Does this take like weeks to figure this out? You said it doesn't take weeks to figure it out.
It takes a couple seconds to figure it out.
Let's figure out what you want to work on mine is figure out what mine is.
Sure. So we already feeling that you overly share. You can talk, right? You're not scattered all over the place. You're basically more about focusing on other people's feelings, making sure they're okay, and you're last, correct?
A lot of times, yeah. Yeah,
right, a lot of times.
I know there's always this end game though, where at some point, if I'm giving, I do get the resentment when there's no acknowledgement.
Right. You'll go to the other extreme and go, well, I've had it done with you. And now you take for yourself, right? But then you feel guilty and feel uncomfortable with that, depending on the
I don't like being
situation.
bitter with people. I don't like having any grudges. Yeah.
You'll feel resentful, which is now feeling bad even more. And then you go back to the other way, and then you overly give, which you just do consistently with your jobs. That's your sequence.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But you have no problem talking, right? And things like that. Or are you very structured to a point where you're very organized that don't color outside my lines?
I used to be very structured. Used to be very analytical. I'm always about spreadsheets, but in the past several years, it's like I'm all over the place. I think just the information age is so much to deal with that I keep
shifted.
I keep lists and I do things, but if I had to worry about getting everything done that I used to like to get done, I would drive myself crazy. I can't even, I just go, it's okay. You're never going to get it all done. Don't worry about it.
Right. So your superpower is structure, is managing. You're here. Your dominant trait is why you're here on earth. And the reason why you're here, because you love to manage people. You love to manage things and organize. You want people to have some structure, to find direction, to find clarity, so they have the influence they need to be successful. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So what's happened is that the reason the question keeps on coming up, that question, do I know enough, is your dominant trait. You're not getting the one domino. You're focusing on your balloons. You've been focusing on your balloon for years and years and years. Okay. Once we know your sequence, we know exactly the one. Now I know the exact domino. I know exactly what you're doing. I can sit and tell you everything about what you've done in the past, what you're doing now, and what you'll do in the future, and never have asked you that question. Right? And not you already shared to me that what you do, because I would tell you that you probably would find a job and then try to break up with that person, whether it's a relation, whatever, and then feel bad about it and then go back to them because did I do enough?
Yeah.
Did I do enough?
Did I do enough, or maybe I missed something? Maybe there's a chance. Maybe I gave up too early. But it's always about me. It's not about me. Like I'm putting myself first. But I'm usually the one who's looking at how could I have made this better. It's not about. And the only time I go to this person effed up or it was their problem is when I do it out of resentment and bitterness. And that's when I look at them negatively. But usually I'm always looking at how can I change and affect something to make it better.
Right, because you are.
I don't blame people.
You went down there, right? You resent because I gave, because they don't reciprocate back to what you expect them to give back to you on a subconscious level. Yeah. Okay, because you overly think. You think too much. And that's what's happening is that's the trap you are dealing with. You think, then you act on it, and then you'll feel bad about it and focus on other people because it's got to be me. It can't be them because it's ingrained with you in the sequence that you have to overly give to others in order to feel good. And that's totally incorrect for you. We teach you immediately what that is, how to shift it, and people now start saying no to others and cannot believe they're not getting the problems that they thought. They will now go and not overly share and give too much to a potential client. Now the potential client got all the information they need and they go, thank you so much, and they leave. So it's constantly overly giving in that space in all different situations, whether it's from family, relatives, loved ones, a lover, or your professional situation. Does that make sense? Does that resonate with you?
You're like a tarot card reader right now. I mean,
right, because I know your sequence.
Yeah.
And I can tell you exactly what to do. I would tell you that because you don't value yourself enough. You focus and overvalue everybody else. You're overly patient. You're overly tolerant with you don't set the boundaries that you need to set, because you're thinking of all the possibilities of what could go wrong if you do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm anticipating because I want things to be seamless. I'm a great planner, organizer. I can strategize and go, oh, you know what, this could happen. So let me make sure we cover for this now. So that way it doesn't happen. I'm super organized that way. But
you make this story up in your head, which may not be truthful. See, your superpower, you probably heard people say in the past, and maybe now, you think you're always right. And you are, because you've done the homework, but there are times when you didn't, or you think you're right and you're not. And now you think you know the reason why the person's doing what they're doing. You think this is happening. You think all this now, and you're not dealing with it. You don't need mindset. That's the last thing you need. You need feel set, and other people need heart set. That's why 2/3 of the population mindset doesn't work for.
I love that. So I need feel set, not mindset. But the other thing you said is, I think I'm always right. And I don't know if that's true. I mean, because I'm actually the one who's always going to go and ask people for their opinion. And I'm asking for advice. I will doubt myself most of the time. And I
Okay.
think I'm right. The times I'll think I'm right is that I've talked to people, say like you or someone else that I believe is totally like the best, which is my whole thing. And I'll say, oh my God, no, they are the best. And I will defend, and I will protect, and I will support, and I will be the most loyal like person for that. I will be the champion for that person when they're getting knocked down.
Right. But at that moment, you're not valuing the other person who's now saying you're wrong, because maybe you're that staunch in your way that you're not going to move, that this person might have some other information that you're not really looking at and valuing. And then you can now start to diminish your trust and your faith that might have been overly trusting in that situation. Or you may be right and the person is wrong. But that's when you're using your antidote. We're talking when you're not right, when you thought you were right, and you went to other people instead of going to the source because you didn't want to hurt that person. So you walked and asked everybody else's opinion instead of asking that person to get what their truth was, their perception. And then you made this story of, well, all these people know this person, so it has to be true. So I'm now going to come in and defend myself with this information, and never really asking fully what's going on with that person or what's going on with me. Coming up with a story about what I'm thinking. See, again, we are kind of going a little bit all over because it can be in different degrees, but you kind of get the gist of it. But when people go through the program, we make it step by step, and then they start seeing it. Because the first week, what they do is they do one thing, they go about their business, and they just focus on one thing, and they start seeing the shift. Then the second week, they add something else, just one thing. So every week, person's just doing one thing. When they get down to week 4, there's actually one word, one subconscious word that you use that stops every goal. It stopped it in the past, it's stopping it now, and it'll stop it for the rest of your life. Just one word. Might be a good word to know. Once you know this word, we then give you 5 steps that's specific to offset this one word. And we prove to you, you have to achieve your goal.
Okay. Do you know what my one word is?
Yeah, but if I give it to you, you're not going to get it.
Oh, I would think
because it builds up to that point.
My first thing that came to mind intuitively without just thinking about it is, I don't know.
Yeah, that's not it. And what's happening is that, again, you're looking for information because you're focusing on this instead of somewhere else. And we teach you, you're not tapping into that other part of your body.
Oh my gosh. I think everyone watching this is going to be like, I want to do this. I know I do. I'm like, and I know we've done a little bit of work together, and I've never done your full program, but I'm totally signing up for this. I want to figure this out, because it's, well, here's me. I can see, I'm already going, I can already see it. And I'm going, I want to figure this out. And I want to learn more, and I want to think, and I want
Right. And that's okay. But the question is what's it cost you? How many thousands upon thousands of dollars did it cost you? And how much did you spend on other programs that didn't give you the answer? Right. How much did it cost you in relationships and other things? So that's what we do. So when people watch the webinar, 45 minutes, they'll get a lot out of it. And then we give them a consultation with me to see if they are a candidate. Because if they're not, we're not going to accept them, because we only want people that we know that we can help and who are ready to be helped. So, and then we have a 2-week money back guarantee. 2 weeks, if you feel this is not right for you, you get 100% of your money back, and no one's ever asked for their money back.
That's an irresistible offer for sure, because it's a lot of times people need that time to sort of try it out and go, you know what, this isn't working for me. And that you're doing that. That's beautiful. I love that. And I know this is oftentimes this is a sales tactic, and I want people to hear this, is that when people say, well, we want to see if you're a fit for us. And I just interviewed a dear friend of mine who's master at sales. And we talked about this very phrase is, I want to see if you're a good fit. And we broke this down, and you're doing it in such a genuine and integrous way too, is that it's really, you don't want people to fail. And if it's not their timing to do something like this, it's not that you're just trying to bait them to sign up or join or to participate. You're saying it might not be your timing, and I don't want you to jump in this and then feel like you failed at something or this didn't work if it's not right for you yet. So this is an opportunity for you to get with someone and say, hey, let's see if this is going to work for you right now.
Yeah, it's not about selling them.
No,
it's about
not
serving them.
Serving them.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you have to stay in integrity with yourself. Okay. And I've had people in the past, when I first started, probably one or two people where I was like, okay, right. Something told me not to, and I did it. And it was stressful for both of us. Okay. And I was like, never again, because I'm too old to keep on having stress. So you don't, plus also here's the other main key. The main key is you don't want somebody in a group coaching course what is not a fit, and then they bring that negativity where they're not really ready to be coached and all that, and it throws everybody off. So it's not only focusing on if it's going to be stressful for them and me, but it's also going to be stressful for the other clients who are here to ready to go. Are they coachable? Are they committed? All that. And are they ready to do this? And does it make sense for them? And I tell people, no, I just don't think this is, money in hand, ready to go. And I'm like, I don't think this is ready for you. I don't think this is where you want to be. And then we'll refer them to somebody else who we think that is best for them. So
I love integrity. I love that. I'm so glad you're saying that, because again, we have so many things that people are just pitching and they just want to get people to buy. And I think that says a lot about you and what you're offering.
Oh, thank you. And that's why people that's why people don't ask for money, because we make sure that they're ready to go and things like that, and it's going to work for them.
Yeah.
Right? You don't want to spend, how many times you spent money and didn't work? And you're like, especially marketing, you're banging it against the wall. Why did I do this?
Well,
right?
and then my way of being, or the saboteur in me, would be like, it's my fault. I didn't work it hard enough.
Yes.
That is my story about everything.
Yep.
I signed up for that. Well, if you'd have just gone in all in, the words all in, it would have worked for you, but you weren't all.
Right. And everybody has a different degree of all in. And again, this is not busting your butt, trying to kill yourself. Oh, it is so simple that people go, really? Or they'll come back and we'll say, hey, what's your wins? And we've had some people come up and go, I have no wins. Okay, so what's going on? Oh my God, I just see the saboteur. Why I couldn't get this done, this and this and this. I said, that's a win. What are you talking about? It's a win, showing that it's really showing that this is the one thing that's stopping you. And they'll go, you're right. So let's just work on focusing on the antidote at that moment and just step by step by step. And then they will come back next week going, I got something done that has been sitting on my desk for 5 months. I got it done. Congratulations. Let's continue moving it. Now, and when you don't want to get that done, again, you're not a loser. You're just in protection. So the question is, so ask, you want to write this sentence down for the audience to write this down. When you get stressed, just ask yourself this question. Why am I protecting myself at this moment in time? Why am I protecting myself at this moment in time? Now, like with Jill, she'll go into the dominant trait and not really get to the real reason, but at least she's getting the question of, it's not about me, it's about why. But once she uses that antidote with that question, that's when things shift instantly.
Okay, so why am I protecting myself at this time? So you said I wasn't getting into the true saboteur.
Yeah, you're getting into your dominant trait, your superpower, which feels good for you. And that's why it keeps on going around and around and around, because you're on the wrong trait. You're focusing on your balloons.
Okay. So then my question I should be asking myself is, I guess, why am I protecting myself at this time? And what is my what is my domino?
Yeah, what's your saboteur? And
My
what's my
saboteur.
antidote? And how can I switch it instantly? So you never get rid of fear. People go, well, I overcame fear. No, you don't. You just switched it off by using the opposite side. Could be trust or love or whatever the case may be. It's always there. It's like saying, well, I don't like heads on this coin, so I'm going to get rid of heads. You can't. It's still the coin. Everything is a dichotomy, right? Tall, short, left, right, yin, yang, all that. So when you're going, when you feel that life is falling apart, right? It's falling apart. Well, on this side, it's falling together. You're just focusing on the wrong aspect. If you're you're down in, well, you're in Miami right now, right? But if I'm in the wintertime, if I'm up there in Minnesota, freezing my butt off, and I'm like, oh, this stinks. Well, is there anything anywhere else warm in the world? Yeah, the other side of the world.
Right. In Argentina, it's cold right now. That's why I'm here in Miami.
Right.
Because opposite seasons.
Right.
Yep.
So if you're going through breakdown, you are also going through growth. You just don't know where to look. When you understand the saboteur and the antidote, you'll know how to use the antidote and find out why things are falling together for you instead of falling apart.
Does it have anything to do with connection?
No, wrong.
I can't figure this out. I mean,
That's another trait.
I can't figure it out. I don't know how to do this. So I don't know how to do it. That's what it keeps.
Your connection is not, that's another trait. It's not the true trait.
I want people to understand this so they understand, like, what is it that the ultimate, like, give us some examples of, not mine, you don't have to tell me mine, but what are some examples of saboteurs, like some words or the one, give us some one words that are.
So we had a business owner who, when he actually had his office meetings, he wouldn't talk. He wouldn't express himself because he felt that his ideas were stupid. Once he understood what was happening, he started to express his ideas, and people will come back to him and go, oh my God, boss, that was awesome. They weren't brown nosing, and they were really good ideas. He was like, oh my God, I didn't want to, because he didn't want to feel stupid. He wanted to feel embarrassed. When we have people, we had a person one time who
So that word was stupid. There's one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out some examples. I'm looking for a catalog. Okay, keep going.
Okay.
That
Well,
could be
that's one of their fears.
Yeah.
Actually, there's two. You'll understand that we were able to discover that your saboteur has two base fears. Once you know the two base fears, we give you two specific antidotes to switch off that fear as well. But anyway, that was into the tangent. We had a person was writing 3 books and didn't get any of those done. Okay. And she was constantly going here and going here. She was scattered all over the place because she wanted to connect to so many things. Within 3 weeks of the program, she started focusing on and started getting one of the books done. And within a couple of months, she actually finished her book. Talked to her about it, about a year ago, which was about a year afterwards. And she completed all 3 books because she understood what was stopping her.
And that word,
she couldn't focus. She was scattered. She was not able to really follow through on things. So it would cause her to now overly connect, or then just go into a depression or an anxiety. We had, and
hers then would be scattered. Her word would be scattered.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. We had another person who had anxiety. Okay. This is when I was practicing. And one of the things I realized, this is how I was able to discover the sequence and to reaffirm it, was she was always had this anxiety. So my thought is that why is she having anxiety on a chemical basis? Well, her excitatory brain chemicals were overreacting, right? Well, how do we turn that off? Do we pluck them out, or we just tell the person to shut the hell up? You're an idiot. This is not as bad. No, you don't tell that to somebody who's had anxiety. That's somebody in your audience going, yeah, my mother does it all the time, or my husband or somebody does it all the time, right? So what you do is what? You give them calming excitatory chemical because once that increases, your excitatory has to drop. You can't have both at the same time. So then it hit me, like, as soon as I use my answer, if you're triggered and you are using your superpower by using your antidote, immediately your superpower becomes effective instantaneously.
So that one, she had anxiety, would be the word for her?
Right. So what happened was, during that process, we were giving her things to do, as well as, and she was able to lower her medications. Can't remember if she lowered them or actually got off of them. I can't remember. But it was due because once she understood the saboteur, she realized she had control.
Mm-hmm.
And my niece was one of them, anxiety too. She goes into overly focus and stress and everything else. And I would call up and go, antidote. And she'd go, you're right. I said, well, you got to work on this. You got to work on this as much as going right into that defense. You're in protection. That would mess up her entire, what do you call it, her menstrual cycle and everything else. So I didn't care how much I gave her with nutrition. I said, once you go into your stress, everything goes to naught. You need to understand how you're doing this, what's triggering you. And when you see that trigger, neutralize it by going, awesome, thank you for the opportunity for me to go into the old me. But now I'm going to use this as a benefit for myself. Why is this here? How can I benefit from it? And immediately you can now use it to your gain.
I love that. And I think I've got a word. And so the two anxiety examples, you had stupid, scattered, anxiety. How about control?
Yeah, it could be.
Is that a word? Is that a word?
Right, but you're using a lot of synonymous words. See, here's the whole great thing. I can take the entire dictionary and put them in 3 categories under the director, the supplier, and the communicator. So what throws everybody off is that we actually give you all these synonymous words that mean just one trait. So if I start talking to you, like we were talking about you thinking, right? Overthinking, and you're like, well, I wasn't doing that. So I was using one word. That didn't resonate with you. But as soon as I used this word, which you had no idea I was using, you immediately went, yes. These were synonymous words, but this word did not resonate with this particular situation, but this word did. Now, in another situation, I used this word for that scenario, and you said yes to that. So once you understand there are many different words, that's why we go into battles and conflicts and everything else, because we're using different words. So therefore we are interpreting them differently.
Right. I've heard that in relationships. It's really important when someone says, what does trust mean to you? And ask your partner that, because we have different meanings of it or different things like that. So that makes sense to me, is that we have different ways of, it lands on us differently based on our upbringing, just everything, our environmental influences, whatever occurs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, God, I'm just, because it's like, I just want to get the answer.
I know, but again, what's really happened, I'm glad you're trying to do this, because if you do take the program, and whatever the case may be,
I will, because now everybody's going to want to know, if they watch us, like, what is Jill's number? What's Jill's word?
So what happens is, you'll see through our conversation, we'll go back to this, and you'll see you're here, and once in a while you hit this, but you went back to here because that's more comfortable. This was uncomfortable to even tap into, so you immediately went into the words here instead of this word.
I know you said overthinking before, and you said I didn't resonate with that.
No, you did resonate with that.
Resonate with overthinking. Yeah, because I do that. I analyze the hell out of everything.
Yeah.
I love analyzing.
Right.
Organize. We talked about organizing. Okay.
So,
all right. I guess
again,
I don't know about,
we can try. I can give you all these words, and people will get it, and they'll get it and go, oh, that's who I am. That's fine. And they go on, and that's fine. I've had people where they would I would tell them about it. 6 months later, they're in the course going, oh my God, I wish I was here 6 months ago. I thought that was it. And then they start going deeper and deeper and deeper. They realize, wow, this goes much deeper. And now I can really fit all the puzzles in and know exactly what to do. So
Okay.
I've learned this over the years, not to give too much, not because I want you to take my program and all this stuff. I've given too much and it's actually hurt people. So I'm giving you enough to find out, is this something that you want to do? If they
Yeah.
don't, that's fine too. You're not ready. That's cool. You're just protecting yourself. You're actually using your saboteur. Many people in sales, when if anybody out there in sales, when you don't have a good closing rate, it's actually your inborn sabotaging trait stopping you from closing the sale, because it's more painful to close that person than not. And you'll understand that why.
Fascinating. Fascinating. Well, maybe we'll do a follow-up interview and I'll go through the course and then we'll show and have the contrast after. Since I'm not probably going to figure that out right now. As much as I want to.
Yeah.
The competitive nature. Oh, getting things out of the way, like getting it over with, like getting to the result, we talk about DISC, we talked about in other interviews, the DISC profile, DISC assessment. I'm a high I and a D is second. And when I go into from the natural state of my way of being, which is influence I and then D is dominant, the I just drops down and the D shoots up, and it's like, okay, I don't have to, when we get to the stress moment, I got stuff to do. I'm going to start bossing people around, telling them how to get things done. My whole like being nice to people is gone. It's like, it's like, there's a process. You got to follow the process.
But here's the thing, the difference between DISC and us, we give a solution. They don't.
Okay. I get that. So, but like mine is, I know I've seen myself do crazy things like that, where like when there's pressure and all this stuff's happening, I forget that there are people's feelings that I have to consider. It's like totally gone. And you have to follow these steps. I'm telling you, this is
You
like,
have to you only have to follow one step.
no, I'm saying in my life in general,
No, I'm just saying is what I'm basically saying is that they have 4 quadrants.
Right.
We have 6. They're missing 2.
Okay. Fascinating.
But
okay. Boy,
again, you got to do this, 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 and this, and this. All I'm going to tell you is you just got to do this. And then the domino just goes instantaneously.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I am like waiting with bated breath. I can't wait to start this. I am so in. I gotta know now. Because I love DISC. I love all the study of human behavior and what makes me tick, what makes other people tick in relationships, how we come together, what makes us, not work, where there's conflict, how to get through that. And you just opened up a whole nother realm here for me.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing like this in the world. No one else is teaching this.
I love it. I love it. So what else would you like to share with people today? Anything else that we haven't covered that we should?
I would just leave them with 3 things.
Hope. Give them hope. Give them something.
1, know that you're just in protection. If you can just realize you're just in protection, say these 2 words. It's okay. Say, it's okay. It's okay. I'm in protection. Know that once you use the antidote, you immediately go out of protection into growth. So just know that if you never know the antidote, that's okay for now, but just know that you're in protection and move forward of how you can benefit out of this. If you can find the benefit out of something, it is a positive for you.
I can see that.
And then thirdly, just know that everything outside of you is you. What is the universe trying to tell me through the situation? Because it can't speak words. It just speaks through what shows up in my life.
It just speaks in how it shows up in my life. And it's really my interpretation of it and what I choose to believe about what I'm hearing or what I'm experiencing.
Right.
And there was something I wrote down earlier, which is along those same lines. And I love the 3 steps. So those are great tips for people to walk away with. Whenever we're in conflict or we feel tension or triggers, I learned this a while back, it's never about the other person. When I'm triggered, it's never about something you did. 100% of the time, never about you. It's always about me. It's always about something I am thinking from the past, some fear, something that's gone on in my life that I am somehow attaching or seeing a similarity that I'm going, danger, danger, danger. I've got to, this is not right. This is wrong. This happened before, caution. And it has nothing to do with that person. And I think when we're in relationship with someone else or businesses, even if we can understand that, and both agree and have that awareness, we can stop and prevent so many different conflicts, disagreements, just things like, yeah, just things where things aren't going well, where there's things that are things that are uncomfortable, you know, and just be real and go, whoops, I'm having this uncomfortable feeling right now, Dr. Phil, you know, like right now, I really want to know what my word is. And it's freaking me out. And I'm just giving this as an example. I'm joking kind of, but it's like, I'm really freaked out by this, but I know it has nothing to do with you. It's probably something where I wanted to get it right. And as a kid in school, and I'm not getting it right. And all my people watching this are going to be going like, oh, Jill didn't find out her word. What's wrong with her? You know? Okay.
Nothing.
I'm just kidding. But see that I didn't really think that, but I mean,
Of course.
that's the example is that we can say and go, oh, funny. I just saw it that way. It had nothing to do with Dr. Phil should give me my word. It's no, it's a fear and insecurity in me, and it's my sabotage.
Right, because that one person or event represents the thousands of others that caused harm to you. But it's a part of you, your saboteur, that's being triggered.
There it is. That's the gold nugget right there. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Dr. Phil, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I had a good time. I hope your audience got some value out of this, and hope to. And if they want to, you know, click the link to go to the webinar. It's 45 minutes. You'll get a lot of good information. The 5 shifts of how to shift yourself so you can have your professional and personal life grow exponentially. And then we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation whether or not, if you want to continue, if this is right for you or not.
So cool. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
Phil.
you so
Yes,
much,
and everyone do check that out. And also I'll put the link in there for your book and other resources as well. So thanks again. This has been awesome. And everyone, please like, share, and subscribe. I know everybody says that, but really when I do these interviews, I want you to get that. I think about someone else that you know. I know you're probably thinking, oh my God, my cousin Susie, or my best friend, or my ex, or whatever, you know. Share this with them because there's something they need to get. So please share this because it means a lot. And I think this is why I do what I do, is to be able to give everybody that opportunity to spread this word and to spread this knowledge and experience so they can get healed and they can be better people. So Absolutely. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks for joining today, and stay connected. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.